Hello, welcome back to another video on the Retired Farm Boy channel. My name is Jeff, and yes, back behind me right there is the first Christmas tree going up in our home. My wife is a fanatic about Christmas. She puts up many trees at Christmas, up to as many as, I remember 16 one year. I think that's the most ever. So she wanted to start, she got the itch this weekend, and she got out our biggest Christmas tree, and you can see she's trying to put it up. She ran out of lights, so that's the reason it's not finished yet. But yes, my wife does start very early in decorating for Christmas, and we're also probably some of the first people to have our Christmas tree down right after Christmas, because we've had them up for so long. I think we sort of get tired of them a little quicker, but anyway. I wanted to talk this today on a video that has sort of hit me a little bit harder since these hurricanes have hit our country and caused such devastation. I know that Steve's Corner and Brian, the Armenian channels, have spoken of this tragedy a little bit. I'm sure there's many other videos out there concerning the tragedy. But I wanted to take my opportunity here to maybe get a little bit deeper in it and try to find out, how we can use this to maybe help our country turn around. So the topic of my video today is, will the country come together in 2024? So there's such a divide in our country. We all know that. It's so polarized. It's really bad. So much has happened and come out in this election year. One of the things that we're learning about is FEMA's funding is at a very low point, and it's been used a whole lot to help out the illegal immigrants. And now we're having tragedies of our own within our country, and we don't seem to have the money available to take care of that. And there's probably many more hurricanes to come this season as well. That's just a total, to me, blatant overlook in policy and politics, or whatever you want to call it, to have us in this situation. I think it's just absolutely terrible. Now, I'm not opposed to helping anyone out. So giving some funds to help the illegal immigrants that come to our country, it bothers me a little bit that we're giving them very much at all, let alone, it looks like in some parts of the country, we're giving them housing, food, everything they need. And some are probably living better than some of the people in our cities and in our country. And to me, again, that's just another total shame and a total waste of what our government really is supposed to be about, in my opinion. I want to get on my soapbox here a little, but before I do, let me say this. I would really like your support of my channel. I recently went over 100 subscribers, and I thank each and every one of you out there that have subscribed to my channel. It truly makes a difference for me to know that. But once you get to 100, what do you want to do next? You want to get to 200. So if you're willing to help me out, for those that haven't subscribed and you've seen some of my videos, or maybe this one here will be something that intrigues you, please help me please subscribe to my channel and help me out. And this particular video, if you like it and see something that touches you a little bit, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up during this video. So let me get back on the soapbox, like I said, and go into my little mini rant here a little bit, and try to focus on, what my feelings are about what's going on in our country right now. First off, our country needs to start coming back together somehow. Now, I don't know that I have all the answers. I have some thoughts that I'll go over in a little bit later, but maybe the hurricane tragedies can help us to think of our fellow Americans again and where we are as a country. I have faith in the people in this country. I think this is a tremendous, great country. You see, how much how far we've come since the Constitution was written, so many years ago, and how that Constitution has held up really year after year after year to be something that was very meaningful, very well thought out, and very really forward thinking for sure. Now, on the other hand, social media has come about, right, in the last few years. And, it seems like everybody has a voice. And although I believe strongly in free speech, I think you're seeing a little bit too much of where people are trying to really silence certain aspects of the people. I think some of us that are getting on social media and saying things, don't really represent the whole. And they tend to polarize us. And, that's a tough thing for us to have to deal with, but we all have to think about what's being said and ignore it if it's something you don't even think is true. Why get into a fight with somebody on social media about something that, probably doesn't really matter at the end of the day too much? So in my days, now I'm going to focus a little bit more on the national news side of things. So when I was growing up and, early adulthood and so on, the big guys on the national news were Walter Cronkite and David Brinkley. Now, they probably were biased, maybe more than I even realized, and really didn't understand it back then. But I know one thing. People thought they were very honest people. People thought they were upright citizens, and they talked about our country, and they gave some good points about our country and talked about things that could further our country along. I think we've totally lost that now with our national media. I feel the polarization of news, in my opinion, began in 2008. We have now had 16 years. Think about that. We've had 16 years of polarization. Now, some people may think that it began even before that, but that's when I really see the slant start coming so much. So it's gotten so bad that, I know myself and probably many others don't even really believe anything that's being said on the national news anymore, and that's very sad. I mean, we've come so far in these years of a slippery slope here to where now nobody seems to believe the media. To me, the hurricane tragedies have pointed out how the want of power has overruled common sense. And I think that, to me it was a symbol, and sort of got me thinking about what can I do, what can we do to try to get this country back on track? Will we continue to go after the next president, whether it's a he or a she in this election cycle, or can we begin to stand behind the result and learn from the events of those past years of total partisanship? We need to embrace this. A presidential election always allows us to have a new start. And since we don't have a former president, our current president running this time, we're definitely going to have a new president. So let's get behind that person and quit trying to tear them down even after they win and going after them. And let's just try to go along with their policies best we can. If we don't like it, we don't have to still agree to it. We shouldn't. But I'm just saying that we should maybe not try to tear that person down as much as try to help them out. That would be really a novel idea, huh? Our politicians and national news media has created where we are to now. It's now all about power. We can see that. I'd prefer the news to be more about what's going on in America, not so much about politics and the media pushing government agendas, government overreach, and government spending. It seems like that's where we're always going now. We're talking about those things. So I've said a lot of things, and I've said what we need to do, but so I'm going to try to lay out how do we accomplish getting back to the American values and come together? So here's some thoughts that I have. I know that's a huge question, and there's probably many answers, but here's 3 thoughts that I'm going to throw out. Pray for our country. Our country was based on Christian beliefs, and I think it's still a very valuable thing to pray for your higher power, whatever that may be, and ask, for help in this country. That's what our country was based on. Number 2, stop participating in the politics that has separated us. We got to get away from being so partisan one way or the other. We need to start opening our minds and listening to what others say and think. It might actually be something that's a little bit a good sense, but we're not allowed, it seems like, to listen to other views. We have to stay one or the other, but that's not really true. It's just that the mindset and the national media and the politicians and things have gotten us to where they make us feel bad if we don't support one side and we can't like the other. That's not right at all. And number 3, this is one I think is the most helpful. Actually reaching out and getting to know each other so we can open our minds by seeing others' viewpoints. I wonder, I remember growing up, I grew up in a small town, but you knew your neighbors, you knew who they were, you knew what jobs they had, you knew a lot about them because you were outdoors in your yards talking to them. You got to know a little bit about them, and it allowed you to understand how other people think. I wonder if that's something now that you see that much of. So I think that's the biggest way that we can begin to turn this corner, is by getting out and getting to know others, particularly the ones that may not agree with you. I think that's, we got to be able to talk about things, no matter if you're different opinion or not. I don't intend for this video to sway anybody's political affiliation. I'm not really trying to do that. I'm just trying to make us think about the future and what we want for our country. Now, I'll step down off my soapbox. As I mentioned earlier, the hurricanes really moved me this time, the ones we've had. And that may be because I lived in North Carolina for 6 years, and I visited many of these areas that have been destroyed or completely, wiped away. I think that's terrible. I'm thinking about how I can pitch in more for these tragedies that happen. It doesn't have to be a hurricane. It could be your neighbor or something that had a house burned down, whatever the case may be. But I'm trying to figure out how I can do it. Of course, donations help. I think it's one of the greater traits this country has is we're willing to donate our money, not necessarily so much our time in all cases, but definitely our money to help out. But I'm considering committing time myself to go to these areas or the neighbors or whatever it may be that are needing help, to help them out physically and mentally if I can, while I'm still healthy enough to do so. I think that we all should start thinking like that. We must pull together at the bottom to make a difference at the top. The politicians and the national news media are not going to give up their power and their voice just because we ask them to. We're going to have to build a groundswell from the bottom and try to show that this country is a lot more than what they think it is, and that they need to start participating and listening, because we're not going to listen to them if they don't want to pay attention to us. That's what they're supposed to be doing anyway, right? So anyway, that's my video for the day. I truly appreciate you watching. Hopefully you liked the video, and we'll come back at you another time. Thank you.